Hello and welcome to my cyber students for yet another year of the Living Environment Regents exam. These series of videos will cover all of January 23rd, 2024 exam. Now, just a reminder, this is not the test that's going to be given in June, of 2024. This is an old exam, January 23rd, the most recent one. But you'll still see comments. Is this the test? Is this the actual test? You'll see it. When you see it, go ahead and tag me on it so that I can tell them, no, this is an old exam. But let's get started. Let's get right to it. We're going to do only the first 10 questions. So this is going to be a series of videos with only 10 questions at a time so that you can digest it and understand it. And I've also added pictures for understanding some key definitions, but we're only doing numbers 1 through 10 for this video. So this is part 1. So let's get started. Whoops. Okay, let me go back. Okay, number 1. Let me get my pen ready. So you already see a very important word, a very important vocabulary word, which is homeostasis. Now, what is homeostasis before we even read the word? Homeostasis is the tendency toward a relatively stable equilibrium, a stable internal environment in biology terms. I'm sure you've heard the word homeostasis many, many times. So homeostasis is when living organisms are stable. For example, how are you feeling right now? Do you by any chance have a fever? If you do have a fever, sorry about that, but you are not at homeostasis. You're not stable. Your temperature is not normal. That is not an equilibrium. That is not stability. Do you not have a fever? Are you feeling okay? Is your temperature, around 96, 97, 98 degrees Fahrenheit? If it is, you're stable. You're at equilibrium. You're at homeostasis. Okay, so homeostasis is an internal, stable environment so that everything can work the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so now that we got that covered of what homeostasis is, let's read the question. Homeostasis in single-celled organisms is maintained through the proper functioning of... Okay, so this is asking about the homeostasis being maintained so that homeostasis is still stable, it's still going on, but it's asking about single-celled organisms. So a single-celled organism, I have an example here, an amoeba. This organism is only made up of one cell. This whole thing is just one cell, okay? So how can this amoeba, this one-celled organism, keep homeostasis? What are the things that help it with equilibrium? Well, let's see what the choices are. Organelles, estrogen, guard cells, antibodies. Antibodies are proteins that help you fight disease. Guard cells are special characteristics on a plant leaf for the exchange of gases. Estrogen is a hormone found in females, and organelles will be your correct answer. Well, why organelles? Why? So when we look at this, one-celled organisms function on organelles. So you'll have the nucleus, you have the chloroplast, you have the cell membrane, you have the cytoplasm, you have the lysosomes, you have the vacuoles. All of the organelles work together in this amoeba to make sure that it is at homeostasis, that it's living and going through all the biological life processes that it needs to go through. So the correct answer for number 1 is 1, organelles. Let's take a look at number 2. Okay, another very important vocabulary word. Niche. Niche, not niche, not niche, niche. What is a niche before we read the question? A niche, a comfortable or suitable position in life or employment. Okay, suitable position. So a niche is An area where a living organism lives, where it's comfortable and it can thrive. What is your niche? Where are you living right now? Okay. Where am I living? I'm living in the Bronx. All right. I am living in the Bronx. My accent came out a little bit, but it's okay. I'm in the Bronx. I live in New York. That's my niche. But to be more specific in organisms, we'll talk about that in a second. But let's go ahead and read the question. In a stable ecosystem, each niche is usually occupied by only one species. The species occupying a particular niche is able to continue to remain there as a different result of, okay, why is it that certain animals live in certain places? Let's see. Is it because of ecological succession? No. If you don't know what that is, purchase my class. I have an online class that goes through the entire curriculum that'll help you with these vocabulary words, because in these videos, we're just going through questions. Favorable adaptations, that is correct. A new mutation, no. Selective breeding, no. So selective breeding is when you take certain organisms and have them reproduce to help keep those favorable characteristics. So we're not talking about that. We don't want new mutations, because if an organism has a new mutation, it might not survive its environment. Favorable adaptations, favorable means that it's good. It is good for the survival of the organism. Now, let's talk about niches and an example. Whoa, kiddo. What is this? Well, this is a flying squirrel. And let's just appreciate its little tiny feet. I just think they're super cute, all right? Needed to get that out of my system. This squirrel can fly from one tree to another. It lives in a particular niche where this is necessary, this characteristic of where it has this flap of skin that it can stretch itself out. And look at the tail. Look how flat the tail is. That has to help with its aerodynamic properties. So this squirrel is able to fly from one tree to the next in order for it to survive in its particular niche. This is a favorable characteristic. Moving on. Okay, I don't find this picture particularly too cute. This is a little too close for me, but this is what's called webbed feet. So this particular bird has what we call webbed feet. Now, it lives in a niche. It lives in an environment where this favorable characteristic is very necessary. Do you know what webbed feet is used for? Webbed feet is used for swimming. So this bird is a very good swimmer because of its webbed feet. And I'm sure we got the design for flippers for us, to put them on and swim around. We got that idea from looking at nature and seeing how awesome they are at swimming. So those are favorable characteristics that help it live within its niche. Okay. Number 3, let's take a look at number 3. When exposed to ultraviolet UV light, okay, so let's pause here for a second. Ultraviolet UV light, where does that come from? Where can it come from? So ultraviolet UV light comes from the sun or from tanning salons. Big no-no. Try not to do tanning salons. I'm even going to cross that out. You can't avoid the sun if you're out. So if you're out in the sun, you want to wear sunscreen. We'll talk about that in a second. So when you're exposed to UV light, human cells produce the protein melanin. Melanin is what gives you the color of your skin, okay? So different people have different skin tones, and that is all connected to what is their DNA, who are their parents, where in the world do they live, what kind of environmental factors are affecting their skin to produce more melanin. Melanin is a protein that is produced to protect you from the sun's rays. So let's keep reading. This protein helps protect skin cells from damage caused by UV light. So this melanin that makes your skin darker is a protective mechanism that your skin does, okay, that your skin cells produce in order to protect you from the UV rays, which we know are damaging. UV rays can cause what? What can overexposure of UV light cause? Have you guessed it? Skin cancer, melanoma specifically. So this is an example. So what is this an example of? So it is very important for you to annotate. You see all this writing that I'm doing, underlining and circling and all of that? That is annotating. And it is super important for you to understand, what are they asking? What is the question? So when your skin makes melanin to protect you from the sun's harmful rays that can potentially cause cancer, this is an example of, well, let's see, a gene that cannot be passed on to offspring. That is incorrect. That's not what it's referring to. Natural selection producing a new species. Are we producing new species? No, we're not. We're protecting our skin from the sun's rays. Sexual reproduction that will produce variation. No, we're not talking about sexual reproduction right now. Environmental factors affecting gene expression. Yes. Okay, let me clear the page. Well, that didn't work. Let me just erase this. Erase my writing here. So the correct answer for number 3 is environmental factors affecting gene expression. Okay, so sometimes the environment can have your genes react a certain way for protection, or for whatever else reason your body is doing what it needs to do in order for the organism to survive. So for us, the environmental factor is the UV rays. Okay, the gene expression is the making of melanin. Okay, so this is a perfect example of gene expression that happens because of environmental factors. Your surrounding area is changing and your body has to adapt so that you can survive the damage that can be caused by this change. So the best answer for 3 is 4, environmental factors affecting gene expression. Okay, next, let's take a look at number 4. The human pancreas contains cells that secrete insulin. Only these cells produce insulin because, okay, I am 1000% sure that you're going to have some kind of question asking about the pancreas. So let's take a look before we read the answers. Let's just take a look at what the pancreas is. So I got this, of course, I get my images from online. You have an organ in your body called the pancreas. The pancreas is an organ that's both part of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is responsible for organs that produce chemical hormones. So hormones are chemicals that are used for messaging, okay? They have your cells do a very specific job. So your pancreas makes a hormone called insulin. That's what it does. The pancreas, the pancreas makes insulin. What does insulin do? Insulin controls sugar levels. So when you eat sugar, whenever you eat a meal, any level of sugar that it has, the pancreas tries to keep it at a very manageable level for your body, okay? So this is the job of the pancreas. So let's go back to the question now that we know what it is. Gonna read it again. The human pancreas, which makes insulin, contains cells that secrete insulin, right? Only these cells produce insulin because, now here's one of these questions that kind of pissed me off a little bit. Sorry for the vulgar language in an educational video. So the pancreas, okay, this question is talking about the pancreas and insulin, but it's not directly asking about the actions of the actual organ. It's asking about something else. It's asking about, again, DNA expression again. Okay, so let's read the answers. Only these cells produce insulin because, so they're saying that the cells that make up the pancreas produce insulin because cells eliminate parts of genetic code. No, none of your cells eliminate your genes. None of your cells decide, you know what, I'm going to cut off part of the DNA. Cells don't do that. All other cells lack the genes for insulin production. Absolutely not. All of your cells have exactly the same DNA strand, which makes you who you are. There's nowhere in your body where a cell does not have your exact copy of DNA, with the exception of your sex cell gametes. Sperm cells and egg cells, sperm cells from a male, egg cells from a female, are the only cells that have a different type of DNA in there. But all skin cells, liver cells, pancreas cells, brain cells, eyeball cells, tongue cells, they all have the same copy of DNA in the nucleus. So that's not it. Different cells use different parts of the genetic information that they contain. This is looking good. They are the only cells associated with the digestion of sugar. No, that's not correct. That has nothing to do with what we're looking for. So the correct answer for number 4 is 3. Different cells, okay, use different parts of the genetic information that they contain. So I like this picture because it has several organs on it. So see how, do you know this organ right here? Okay, this is the liver. The cells that you would find on the liver has the same DNA as the cells on the pancreas. But the DNA of the cells of the liver makes sure that the liver cells express what they need to express for liver function. The cells of the pancreas express the DNA necessary for the pancreatic cells to do pancreas jobs. And then here we have intestines. So your intestines have special cells that help it do its intestinal job. But they all have the same DNA. But only specific genes within the DNA is expressed. Okay, I know that's a lot. But I know you got it. I believe in you. All right, let's take a look at number 5. So in humans, 2 organ systems work together to move oxygen throughout the body and deliver it to cells. Which systems directly delivers oxygen to body cells? Now, I just want to point that I made these annotations ahead of time. The test does not have pictures. The test does not have all these markings on it, obviously, but just remember that the test looks like this. It's black and white. Pictures are black and white. There are no annotations. I am breaking things down for you and showing you and modeling for you what you should be doing in every... Your test at the end of those 3 hours should look like a hot mess because you are writing, taking notes, circling, annotating, underlining, crossing off. All right, let me calm down because you know how much I love teaching you online. So let's keep going. So I love these questions. Anything with the human body system, I find so easy because it's my favorite thing to teach and to study. So organ systems that work together, right, to do a specific job. This one's asking about oxygen. Oxygen is delivered in your red blood cells, okay? Let me change the color since this is already red. So your red blood cells carry oxygen, okay? They carry oxygen because of a protein called hemoglobin. Now, you don't have to worry about understanding hemoglobin and protein because that, to be honest, it's a higher level of understanding. And if it is on the test, it's probably going to be in a reading comprehension where you are told what hemoglobin is and you just kind of have to prove your understanding of the circulatory system. So these red blood cells, your red blood cells carry oxygen, and your red blood cells, blood is is found in the circulatory system. So the human body system that directly delivers oxygen is to your body cells, to cells. So oxygen to cells is the circulatory system. To bring oxygen into your body, period, that's using your lungs, and that's the respiratory system. But the key word here is to your cells. So the oxygen has to already be in your blood, and that the respiratory system does. But to deliver the oxygen to your body cells, that's the circulatory system. So 5 is 4. Number 6. Now, this picture of this turtle, it's not relevant. I just find turtles to be super cute, so I put a cute baby turtle there. Okay, number 6, let's get started. Currently, turtle populations are decreasing. Okay. In September 2018, a scientist stated that turtles contribute to the health of many environments. Okay, I annotated that ahead of time. This is saying that if you have a good turtle population, that means that the environment is healthy. That the ecosystem in that, the environment in that, where those turtles are living, it's good because the turtles are existing and thriving. Okay. And the decline of turtles may lead to negative effects on other species. Okay, so if turtles decline, that is not good for that specific niche or ecosystem. Okay, so let's take a look at what it's asking for. Which statement best summarizes the scientist's statement? Okay, let's take a look. Living organisms interact with and are dependent on their environment and each other. This sounds pretty good. Because yes, organisms do interact with each other, and organisms do depend on each other for food and resources. Number 2, turtles are very large animals and thus have a negative effect on their environment wherever they live. How dare you call them big? Are you body shaming turtles? Answer number 2. It's definitely not 2. How dare you? Number 3, if organisms have a negative effect on their environment, there is probably a technological fix. What? I'm just going to cross this off because this is not what it's asking. Which statement best summarizes what the scientist is saying? So the scientist did not talk about technology. 4, the decline of the turtles will not really matter. Of course it'll matter. We just said that if there are turtles living, okay, in that ecosystem, that shows the health, the good health of that ecosystem. So the best answer for number 6 is 1. 1 is the best answer. Living organisms interact with and are dependent on their environment and each other. They depend on each other. These ecosystems depend on the life of the turtle. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is a higher level question, and this is in my online class. Organic molecules. Organic molecules is an entire chapter on my online class. It is super important for you to go ahead and take that class if you do not understand organic molecules. Okay, so let's take a look at the question. Which set of substances are molecular building blocks that are directly form some of the complex organic molecules present in humans? Okay, building blocks. I should have annotated this too. Building blocks are used a lot in this class and on this exam, and you're definitely going to see it a lot more. So building blocks is basically what are the smaller molecules that are used to build bigger molecules. For example, a protein. Do you know the building block of a protein? What makes up a protein? What are proteins made up of? This should have been a chant in your classroom. Amino acids. Amino acids are smaller molecules that when you put them together, okay, make up proteins. So amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, all right? So this is asking which set of molecules, so it's which one of these sets is a building block directly that directly forms some of the complex organic molecules. Do you know what organic means? Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But if you cannot answer the following, you need to take the lesson on organic and inorganic molecules on my online class, which is available now. Okay, so I'm going to underline the words and you're going to say organic or inorganic. Is water organic or inorganic? Water is inorganic. What about oxygen? Oxygen is inorganic. Starch. Starch is a carbohydrate, so it's organic. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is inorganic. That is an element found in the periodic table. It is inorganic. Carbon dioxide. That is inorganic. Proteins. That is organic. Glucose. That is organic. Amino acids. That is organic. Which one of these were a set of organic molecules? So they all have to be organic, okay? So the only one that all of the quote unquote building blocks are organic was answer 4. Glucose is organic and amino acids is an organic molecule. Not number 1, not number 2, not number 3. So let's just take a quick look at this chart that I put here for you. Organic molecules are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids that are also fat, nucleic acids that make up your DNA. These are the building blocks, some of the building blocks. These are some of the organic molecules found in living organisms. Okay? Again, a whole lesson online if you don't understand what that is. Organic molecules. All right. This is page number 2. And we're going to stop at number 10. So let's get started with number 8. Okay, I already annotated number 8. Whenever you see a question with a picture of any kind, you have to take a look and make sure that you know what it is. So number 8 has a picture of the DNA molecule. Before you even read anything, what is happening here? What is happening with this DNA molecule? We know it's DNA because DNA always has that spiral look to it, like a spiraled ladder. We have codes here. We have C and G and A and T. Those are the nitrogenous bases. So what's happening here is that this DNA strand is unzipping. And as it's unzipping, it's making a copy of itself. So it's unzipping and making a copy of itself. So this process happens during protein synthesis. Okay? Protein synthesis. I have a video of protein synthesis on my channel that you should take a look at. Well, it's of questions that will help you understand, but the big lesson is on the online class. Okay, so let's take a look at, now that we know what we're looking at, let's take a look at the question. The diagram below represents a process that occurs in many cells. Okay, protein synthesis, of course. All cells make protein. The main function of this process is to make proteins. We already know that, but let's see what the choices are. Produce variations in cells. No, we do not want mutations. Synthesize antigens needed to combat immunity. Nope, we don't know that. We don't know what's going on here. We just know that a protein is being made. What kind of protein, we're not sure. Provide exact copies of the genetic code before cell division. This could be what's happening. When cells divide, you do need to replicate the DNA, and it needs to be exact and identical. So number 3 is looking good. Make proteins needed for cellular metabolism. No. So the best answer for number 8, given the choices, is choice 3. As simple as that. Okay, let's move on to number 9. Which interaction is an example of competition between two species? Okay. Whenever two species are competing, competition means that they're at war. They both need the same exact resource for them to live. So which one of these tells us that there are two species that are fighting over something that is very necessary for them? So let's take a look. Choice 1, mice and chipmunks eating sunflower seeds at a bird feeder. We'll come back to this one. Mold growing on a tree that has fallen in the forest. No. Mold is completely enjoying and taking over the tree. There is no competition. The mold can have the whole tree. A coyote feeding on the remains of a squirrel killed on the road. Where's the competition? Where is the other organism that is fighting for the squirrel? It's not said, so it's not competing. A lion stalking, killing, and eating a zebra. Okay. Is it going to compete with anything else for the dead zebra? Not saying here in the choices. Mice and chipmunk eating sunflower seeds from a bird feeder. Now, yes, you can think, okay, a bird feeder's man-made. Someone can keep putting sunflowers in the seeds. But at the end of the day, the mice and the chipmunk are both eating the same food, sunflower seeds. So whenever the sunflower seeds are running low, they got to compete for the last seed. So the best choice for 9 is number 1. Last question for this video. Let's go ahead and take a look. Number 10. One important reason that humans have such a significant effect on Earth's ecosystems is that humans, so what is something that only humans do that could significantly affect Earth's ecosystem, either positive or negative? I was reading this over and over again. I have to give it to them. This was a little bit of a tricky question, but it's saying, how have only humans affected the Earth's ecosystem? Okay. Do we remove large amounts of carbon dioxide from the air? We do not. Living organisms such as trees and amoeba on the ocean with photosynthesis remove carbon dioxide. We do not do that. Are we able to increase the amount of finite resources? Do you know what finite is? And you know what? I am going to annotate this as an extremely important definition. So this is a very key word. If you're taking notes, write this down with the other vocabulary words. Finite means that there is a limit. Finite means that there is only a certain amount of resources. So for example, oil. Let's say you dug up and you struck oil on the earth. There's only a limited amount of that. Eventually, it's going to run out of its resource. Coal. You go into a cave, you start digging out coal. You keep digging and digging and digging. Eventually, you're gonna not have any more coal from that cave. Okay? Finite is a limit, an end to your supply. So, are we able to increase the amount of resources on Earth? No, we are not. We do not have the capacity to do that. Number 3, can humans modify the environment through technology? We absolutely can. I'll get back to number 3 in a second. It's looking like it's number 3. Humans reproduce faster than other animals. I don't know about that, but I've seen some roaches reproduce pretty fast in certain apartments. No shade to anyone who has roaches at home or insects or ants or anything like that. But if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, okay? There are some insects that and animals that when they reproduce once and they do what's called overproduction, and they reproduce like tons of eggs and millions of, let's not talk about it. But the best answer for number 10 is 3, and here's a beautiful example. What are these? What are these? These are solar panels. This is a positive thing that we've done, where we take energy from the sun, okay, and convert it into electricity so that we don't have to burn fossil fuels and continue to pollute the planet. But here we have solar panels, and we are able to generate electricity from all of these panels, okay? All right, so the best answer for number 10 was choice 3. So I'm going to repeat this again. If there were things in the video that you did not understand, you need to take my class. You need to take my online class, and I promise you that will help you significantly pass. Now let's move on to number 2.